armpit to the end of the fist by the old traditional reach measurement of wingspan. Paul Williams is off the board. He has an 82-inch wingspan from fingertip to fingertip. They both weighed in under the middleweight limit of 160, and tonight Winky Wright is up to 168, Williams up to 165. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Winky Wright, Paul Williams fight is scheduled for 12 rounds, non-title, using the Unified Rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3-knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. A case of title is caused by an accidental headbutt. We go to the scorecards if the 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
Now a special moment in the ring with Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Your attention please at this time. Just a few days ago, a great friend of boxing and a member of the HBO sports family passed away. He was with HBO for 20 years, and as a special liaison to the fighter, he was a unique individual. From the athletes and the 4-rounders to the superstar champions who appeared on HBO, they all knew they had a friend at the network. He will always be remembered for his big smile, his big heart, his humility and his honesty, and always be remembered for a great 3-point shot on the basketball court. He was just one of the guys, but more than that, to those who knew him, he was one of the very best guys. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please remain silent as we toll a memorial count of 10 for our fallen friend and comrade, Arthur Curry. Peace and love to you, my brother.
For more than 20 years, that chair immediately behind me at ringside was Artie Curry's. More on him at the end of the telecast. Now it's time for our main event.
My nickname is the Punisher, and I punish people. I try to hurt them in there.
That is a star-making performance by Paul Williams.
When I beat Antonio Margarito, I showed the world that I could fight hard for 12 rounds.
Big left hand over the top by Williams. What a performance by young Paul Williams.
At the downside of beating Margarito, nobody didn't want to fight me no more. I had to step out of my weight class to get fights.
Williams loading up on hooks. Some tremendous body shots by Paul Williams.
I'm not going to say if I beat Winky, when I beat Winky. That going to mean a whole lot. That means that I beat a Hall of Famer. So now my kids can see that their daddy beat a Hall of Famer. He going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Coming to the ring, Paul, the Punisher Williams.
Okay, you ready? Man, looks like a love. Just play. No,
And you see the graphic that tells you that Paul Williams is fighting a 4th consecutive fight in a 4th different weight class. This is one of the questions about Williams, is his identity. Is he a freak of nature, nearly 6'2" welterweight? Is he a middleweight who simply hasn't permanently settled in the middleweight division yet? Or is he somewhere in between? Emmanuel?
Well, I don't think he really right now is a middleweight. Even though he's on the light side, I think his physical structure and the fact that Larry brought out earlier reminded me of he started his career as a middleweight. And I think he won 12 fights by knockout out of his first 13. But I think that it would be a big mistake for him to try to go back to 47 now. Even though he can make it, I think his body's settled in above 150 at this stage here.
All right, just this note, he beat Margarito 21 months ago. After that, he fought Quintana twice, losing once and then avenging it. His management turned down an opportunity to fight Kelly Pavlik, and here he is fighting Winky Wright. The notion that everybody is running from him is, if not just exaggerated, largely just a promotional myth.
Isn't that redundant?
You can promote somebody as a pound and a half of butterscotch. You can do anything you want, but the truth is the truth. Some fighters haven't wanted to fight him. What's so unusual about that? Let him build a reputation. Let him attract more fans than he's attracted tonight, and they'll come running.
Incidentally, what a coincidence. Winky Wright's promoters and managers say nobody wants to fight him.
Well, Winky is...
Well, I've been out the ring for so long because nobody wanted to fight. I miss just fighting, just getting in there, do what I do.
And he sticks the jab in Trinidad's face. 1, 2, 3, 4 more times.
I just want to get back in the ring because I feel like, I had some unfinished business.
Hopkins is stepping on the gas.
Looks fresh.
I didn't like the way that the fight went with me and Bernard. But what happened, happened. The people know who really win in these fights, even if the judge don't give it to them. When I hear people say that Paul Williams is the most feared fighter, I really can't see it. To really be feared is what I've been my whole career.
Wright looks around at the crowd as if to say, do you love me now?
I'm going to fight Paul Williams, beat Paul Williams, and then, the fans can't do nothing but say, look, he said he'll fight the best, and he's proving it.
Now, making his entrance to the ring, Ronald Winky Wright.
Winky is a very good fighter with a very, very high opinion of himself. In his last 3 fights, he's won, and won. And he rejected a chance to make big money for a rematch with Jermaine Taylor. And if you talk to him, it sounds like he beat Hearns, Hagler, and Leonard all on the same night.
His last fight was an appearance here in Las Vegas against Bernard Hopkins. In that fight, he fought at a weight of 170 pounds, which was clearly too big for him. I still think, Emmanuel, his best weight would be 154, where he was a dominant senior middleweight.
I agree with you. It looks like he was perfect at 154 and never seemed to have struggled too much to make that weight.
I think he didn't struggle to make the weight, but I think he always had the body of a true middleweight who just happened to be able to make a lower weight, just like Paul Williams happens to be able to make a lower weight, but is not, in my judgment, a true welterweight. If you remember, when he fought Margarito 21 months ago, he weighed 145 on a Friday, and on Saturday he fought at 162.
Talking about Williams there. And now Winky Wright is ready to fight. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
From the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, this is the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing in the middleweight division. Sponsored by Remedy, the Fashion Knockout, Tecate, Cerveza con Carácter, and Southwest Airlines low fares, no hidden fees. So now for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world on HBO. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue with white and gray, officially weighing in at 159 pounds. His professional record, 51 victories, including 25 knockouts, 4 defeats, and 1 draw. From St. Petersburg, Florida, the former undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world, Ronald Winky Wright. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with gold, official weight 157 pounds. His professional record, 36 victories, including 27 knockouts with only 1 defeat. From Macon, South Carolina, the WBO interim junior middleweight world champion and 2-time welterweight champion of the world, Paul the Punisher Williams.
All right. Winky. All right, Paul. Okay, gentlemen, we want the rules in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Watch your punches here. Punches here are good. They're good here. Remember one, guys. Remember this. I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch them up.
Paul Williams trying to climb the mountain of recognition. Winky Wright trying to avoid the abyss of retirement. Winky Wright been a professional for 19 years.
As round 1 begins, keep in mind that Winky Wright was badly cut over the left eye in his last fight against Bernard Hopkins and had plastic surgery to repair that cut, which was deep almost all the way down to the bone. Paul Williams was cut above both eyes in his last fight. So if you see blood from either fighter above or around the eyes, it will not be a big surprise.
Well, at this stage right here, Winky looks very good, looks very sharp with his punches. And you know what I've noticed in all of his recent fights, he has not fought that excessive defensive style that he used to fight at one time. He's been very much more aggressive. He's starting with the fight with Jermaine Taylor.
Well, he's trying to show or find out whether Williams can take a middleweight's punch. Even though he's a singles and doubles hitter, Winky Wright, Paul Williams has never faced a true top middleweight before.
But at this stage here, it looks like the fight's going more to the pattern of Winky, because Winky is making Paul burn up a lot of energy.
Well, he's got a lot of energy, Manuel.
Hard right hand by Wright.
Good right hook.
There's a good right hook by Williams. There's a left over the top by Wright.
Winky is getting in much closer and is very effective than I expect, because Paul is not able to maintain that space that he wants. And Winky's going right to the inside.
Mostly that's because Williams does not fight his height.
Nope.
He doesn't fight tall.
And the one thing that Winky Wright is doing is moving straight forward, and Paul is not doing any boxing or changing the footwork at all.
Williams, who likes to throw 100 punches per round, acknowledges that Wright, with his defensive skills, may block, slip, or deflect more of those punches than he's accustomed to which he says, no problem. I'll keep throwing until I land the ones that matter. In the second half of this round, Wright has picked up his pace, or excuse me, Williams has picked up his pace, and Wright, to a certain degree, has slowed down.
Yeah, but I'd say at this stage here, it seems like Winky seems to be very comfortable with this situation. To me, mentally, a little bit maybe more than Paul.
Yeah, but he throws about a quarter as many punches as Wright, or as Williams does in the last minute of the round. And not that Williams is landing all of them.
Good round.
Maybe the best action round we've ever seen Winky in.
The Taylor fight had several good rounds.
Hey, you're looking good. But as you pivot around, I want you to come back to that hook. You got me? Everything is working beautifully. Okay, but I want you to roll your shoulders a little more. If you roll your shoulders, you're moving your head. I need you to move it a little bit more. Okay? Now listen, What happens is this here. You need to still do exactly the same thing you did, okay?
All right. He threw more punches than you this round, so let your hands go more. Agreed. But your punches were harder and stronger, and you landed more. You're gonna hurt this guy, okay? Keep working.
Even though Williams probably landed the most punches, and the most important and powerful punches I thought in the round was landed by Winky. I think he landed 2 powerful shots just like that beautiful right hook.
But judges have become increasingly accustomed to rewarding punching volume in the sport over the course of the past 10 years or so. And by CompuBox numbers in round 1, Wright was 14 of 42, and Williams was 21 of 104. My question is, how do judges give a round to a guy who threw 42 punches when the other guy threw 104? I understand what both of you are saying. I'm just not sure that Wright won the round.
No, I didn't think he won the round. I thought he landed the more cleaner single punch. But no, I think Williams won the round on sheer volume.
Well, but it comes down to punch stat being able to measure quantity and not quality. Did the quality of Winky Wright's punches outweigh the quantity of Paul Williams?
Someday we'll look back and see how the official judges scored that first round. It's an interesting subject.
Oh, I'm quite sure most of them scored it to Paul Williams. I thought he probably won the round, but I was impressed with the cleaner power punches coming from Paul. From Winky.
Now here we go. Is Wright going to stay with this? When is he going to retaliate?
Winky, through most of his career, has been comfortable playing defense while his opponent punches and then him going. But when you fight a young, ambitious, hungry fighter like this who throws that many punches, there aren't many pauses in what he does.
And then you still have to consider the layoff and the age factor. He's been off for quite a while now, the longest he's ever been off. And this is a tough fight to come back with because of the volume of punches and the intensity that Paul Williams fights at.
Wright getting his chance now as Williams takes a little bit of a break. Williams comes back with the left uppercut and a right hook. He tends to let his punches wander wide a little bit. There should be some openings up the middle for Winky Wright. Wright's sometimes going to have to be walking into the blades of the helicopter to get something done.
I think of him as a wind turbine, Jim.
Green power. Good jab by Winky Wright. Williams continues to throw and throw.
But Winky is getting in good boxing fine range because Paul doesn't use his height all the time. He bends in a lot. And bending in with those gangly arms, he can easily get caught with a short shot.
There's a welt under the right eye of Winky Wright.
And Williams has seen that welt and is already trying to target it. Four-punch combination by Williams. Wright with a lunging left hand. Round 2 looked a lot like round 1.
This is what you're not doing. You're not letting him in, and that's what we need, okay? Look. Paul, you're working your combinations good. Listen. And you're also working your pivots good. Take a deep breath, okay? But you need to continue on doing that. You get just a little relaxed every
Let's take a look from action early in the round, in round 2, and this will show you what the conundrum may be for Wright in this fight. I'm going to show you an exchange in which Williams throws 1. Then a right answer, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 punches from Williams, and Wright threw 2. How will judges score for Winky Wright in the face of something like that?
But the most interesting thing to me is that Williams tied him up after that fusillade of punches, not allowing Winky to come back at him.
So Wright's connect percentage is very low, 20 out of 105. But what may matter ultimately is the 105. Wright threw 45 punches in the round. So that's a 60-punch differential in round 2 after a 62-punch differential in round 1. They're just fighting in a different economic or quantitative mode.
Well,
You know, I have no doubt in my mind. I think that Paul is winning the fight, but I still like the fact that Winky is getting in close, and particularly that right hook of his. Even though he's not a big puncher, Paul Williams is, to me, it looks a little gangly like here in close, and neither fighter can afford to slow down at all in this fight. The first guy that starts down a little bit, the other guy's going to take control.
I think that Winky, despite the fact that he hasn't knocked out anybody of any consequence in 10 years, thinks he has to knock this kid out and is trying his best to do
he's right.
so.
I see power, and in particular the right hook that I haven't saw before. But Williams punches from so many angles, you don't know never what to look out for.
Punch that may ultimately do damage for Williams if he's able to hurt Wright in this fight would be the uppercut. It's hard to see the uppercut coming when so many other punches are being thrown.
And he shoots that right at in, but Williams shoots his right uppercut amid all of the punches coming over top. And then you never know when you don't see it.
Wright scoring at the end of a left hand. Now he lands a more solid left cross inside. Crowd likes the left cross from Wright.
You know, Winky told us that Williams pulls back, and every time you see him pulling back after a combination, Winky is trying to hit him with something big from a distance.
Good body shot by Paul Williams.
He's such a variety of punches he throws. And every time Winky looked like he was getting his rhythm with his right jab, Paul comes back. He just refuses to let someone take control of the fight.
Come on. Let's go, come on.
Paul Williams has a grin on his face. He likes what's happening out there.
Well, I think he's managed to create more space between himself and Wright since round one. And Winky needs to be closer. The night immediately following boxing, stay tuned for the first episode of our four-part series, Pacquiao Hatton 24/7. Each week, you'll go behind the scenes with both fighters leading up to their mega matchup on HBO pay-per-view, May 2.
Now what you've done, you know what his hand speed is like, and you know what his foot speed is like. So all you have to do is stay above a step above that, okay? You got it. You're working the jab, you're working your combinations, you're stepping around. Don't get careless, keep your hands high, and get right back off with that stick. He's afraid of it, okay? That stick is what's going to keep you alive in this fight, okay? Keep that stick, keep moving around. You follow what I'm saying? Look, if you throw it right, I need for you, listen, I need for you to still stay focused. Still keep doing what you're doing. But the uppercuts are doing that upper jab is going to work.
CompuBox numbers in the third round. Winky Wright, 13 out of 48. Paul Williams, 14 out of 92. So if judges are adept enough to see that Wright is landing at a much higher percentage and that many of Williams' punches are missing, then maybe the formula won't work for Williams.
But you know, Williams has been landing enough clean punches lately too. He's landed most of the clean punches he's landed by him too now.
Let's see what Harold likes. How do you got it?
Jim, I like the busy guy. 3-0, 30-27. Paul the Punisher Williams. Jim, let me tell you something. Southpaws don't do what Paul Williams does with a right hand. I mean, he's got one of the best right hands I've ever seen on a southpaw. He doubles the jab. He triples the jab. He doubles the right hook. He triples the right hook. Southpaws don't do that. Southpaws have the power in the left hand. Not only that, watch the head movement. You give a guy credit for defense. Look at how many punches Winky Wright throws. Paul's moving his head. He slips a shot. Right there. Look at the head movement. 3-0. Paul Williams.
I scored the first round even. I have it 2 rounds for Williams. See, here's where what Winky does. He does this, then he tries to go, but Williams ties him up before he has a chance to retaliate.
you know, I've never known Winky to be attacked himself with the intensity the way that Williams is attacking him, Paul, which tonight, I mean, because usually if Shane Mosley tried to attack Winky, but Shane was just physically too strong. But when he fought Jermaine Taylor, Winky was the aggressive guy for the most part. But this guy's pushing him, pressing him, making him fight at a faster pace, and a big guy on top of that. And that just, I think it's starting to take its effect on Winky.
And you heard George Peterson telling Paul between rounds, just keep throwing your jab. Keep the stick going. That's what's going to save you in the fight. Wright landed a good left and right. Solid punches inside for Winky. His best rally since the first round.
Yeah, but watch Williams try to come back and take control again. He still refuses to let Winky take control of the fight. He has to have that last punch.
Good quick right hook there by Williams.
This is a very hard pace for Winky. Can he keep it up for 12 rounds if necessary?
He's hitting and holding all the time, man.
Good round, Wink. He's wearing out, Wink. When he backs up, take it to his ass. Take it to his ass and don't let up. Breathe. More 1-2s, more 1-2s. Strong jabs, strong jabs. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Come on, champ. You got this guy. Come on. Move your head on the inside. Move your head more on the inside. You're not moving your head.
Paul Williams' children have been asking him when they could come to see Dad fight, and today's the day. And young Paul Jr. sees his picture on the monitor and loves it. Daughter Jacoria, now she's found herself also. She's sitting on the lap of Paul's mom, Nancy Williams, who came to the fighter meeting with him yesterday. His girlfriend, Shinda, was there as well. CompuBox numbers on jabs through 4. Winky Wright, 17 out of 83. Paul Williams, 24 out of 165. Williams with a 23-9 connect advantage in the 4th round, and Winky Wright kind of took the 4th round off, throwing only 28 punches. That's probably why you were saying, Larry, it's a tough pace for him.
Let's go. Let's go.
Cortez perhaps responding to the entreaty from Wright's trainer, Dan Birmingham, between rounds. You heard Birmingham say to Cortez, he's holding and hitting all the time. What he's really doing is hitting and holding.
Well, both of them. I saw Wickers did that too a lot. He's sometimes holding where the referee couldn't see on the other side. So they've both been doing a little bit of that.
One thing I've noticed, Emmanuel, is that many fighters, if they're fighting a fighter with a reputation for holding, they themselves will hold, figuring they're going to get away with it a little more often. Here in round 5, it appears that Wright's punches have lost some snap.
Wright, we should point out, is a natural right-hander who fights southpaw. That's why his right-hand jab has been his best punch, and he showed us a bit of a right hook tonight. Williams has slowed down a bit in this round.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just a lot of punches he's throwing, you know, and say Winky is a cagey guy. He usually makes you outwork him in terms of punches so he can conserve his energy. But right now, even though Winky is probably behind, I've been very impressed with him tonight. He's fighting tonight. He's not trying to defense fight. He's taking good punches, and he's just extremely competitive.
Get this on top. Don't hold it. Watch your hands. Okay, get that on top. Let him go, Winky. Come on, Winky. Let him go, Winky.
See, that's what I was saying. Both these guys are taking times of doing that. For the most part, Winky's been holding more to do, though.
I think this is Winky's best round.
All right, bring up.
I told you I don't want you banging with him. I told you that. Look, you got an easy fight and you're making it hard. Okay? You're beginning to make it hard. Keep your jab going, Paul. Roll your head. Okay? And listen, and don't get in there and want to bang with this guy because that's what he wants. He doesn't have any legs, Paul. He's an old man. Okay?
Backs up. Stay on his ass with combinations. Come on, champ. Look alive, champ. Come on, champ.
That guy gonna come, champ. Just stay no busy with him.
Here you see what I've been watching early in the fight. Here you see Winky holding on, and you see Paul doing everything to try to still get a punch in. And often when that happened earlier, the referee started warning Williams, and because he couldn't see what Winky was doing, being that Winky's such an experienced fighter.
Have you ever seen a fighter throw an uppercut under his own arm?
We got arms as long as his. He can do a lot of things that normal people can't do.
Well, apparently Joe Cortez didn't either because he warned him that has to be illegal because I've never seen it before.
One violation commits another violation.
Wright showed you some great defense down the stretch of the last round. There you see Williams slipping 3 right punches in a row. Williams threw 81 punches in the 5th round. That was his low punch output for the fight. He still doubled Wright's output. Big left hand and a big right by Williams. Winky Wright trying to hunt Williams' body. Caught him there with a right hook. Williams walked right into it.
Dangerous punch, that long uppercut.
Oh, bring on, Step back.
Just ask James Buster Douglas, who threw an uppercut from about 3 feet away against Evander Holyfield and got planted on the canvas for his trouble.
And lost the heavyweight championship.
Bring up, man, come on. Now watch your heads.
Whatever Winky thought he was going to do in the early rounds when he was so aggressive, he's subtly changed his tactics here. He's trying to pick his spots more.
I'm just saying, this is just halfway through this fight. It's an unbelievable pace. And there you see Winky again, holding on the side where Joe Cortez couldn't see it.
I think Winky is trying to trap Williams into walking into something.
Right.
And he had the formula when he landed a right hook about a minute and a half ago that Williams walked right into.
All right, get the hands up, bring it up. Let him out.
The question is, could he hurt it? I mean, you guys, I think, were on point in saying earlier that it looks like Wright is driving toward a knockout strategy here. Winky Wright's not a knockout puncher.
Get him out. Time.
That's a problem.
Deep breath. Deep breath. Paul, I want him to be using those legs more. Okay? You still commence to want to bang with him. I don't want you doing that. The only way he can touch you, the only way he can do anything with you, because he doesn't have any legs, is for you to stand there and not move. You understand? You got to continue to move, and you got to continue that there. You boxing beautiful.
Taking over. Use your feint now, Winky. Use your feint when you got him backing up. Use that feint. Another ring. Come on, you hear your kids. Punch, punch, get down.
In the world, that's all you need. But I don't want him touching your ball. I don't want him touching that body. You got to get that jab with a snap.
Halfway through the fight, CompuBox numbers. Forget about landed punches. We all know the difficulty of establishing exactly when did a punch land and how much damage did it do. Just talk about thrown punches. Winky Wright has thrown 257 punches halfway through the fight. A decent output for a middleweight. Paul Williams has thrown 562. More than twice as many punches as Wright has gotten off. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
I get you 59, 55, 5 rounds to 1, Paul Williams. You know, Jim, Winky Wright gets in that, you know, he keeps his hands up high, his elbows in tight. Teddy Atlas calls it the earmuffs defense. And yet, Paul Williams gets his shots right in between the gloves. Look at that. He gets that jab in. No matter what Winky Wright does, Williams scores with that jab constantly. I mean, an amazing right hand for southpaw, getting in good clean shots, punching like crazy. You can't take it away from him. 5-1, Williams.
I have it 4-1-1. I think it's possible the judges gave Winky the first round, so it could be closer than we think.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's a judge out there with a 6-0 scorecard. Not saying it's right, I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me.
But regardless of what, the volume of punches has got to be going to Paul Williams. He's doing that.
Well,
and actually the cleaner punches, actually, even though he may miss a lot, he still, as Harold said, he finds a way to get up through the middle in between the gloves with enough occasional punches in addition with the volume
what
to win.
experience tells us is that in close rounds, the busier fighter is usually going to get the benefit of the doubt. And here's another factor. Winky Wright's face looked like he'd been in a fight. Paul Williams isn't.
No, and sometimes Williams is grinning as though he's having fun in there. 6'2" Energizer Bunny of the middleweight division, or maybe the junior middleweight division, or maybe still the welterweight division. He's talking about seeking a fight with Shane Mosley if he can win tonight.
But you know what's amazing to me is how to be such a tall guy. He still can fight so good sometimes in close and bob and weave and get under punches and punch back, which is truly unusual to be a guy as tall as he is.
Williams leaping through to bust Wright with a right hook. Boundless energy for the lanky southpaw from Aiken, South Carolina. Right there, that's Jenny Lee Burns. Jenny Lee, as you can tell, is informing the audience that round 8 is coming up. All eyes are on the round card and not on that bauble in her belly button. That bauble. That belly button.
This is one thing they can't do with a mobile telephone.
Go to the body.
What, tell you what round is coming up?
Okay?
Right.
Okay?
In a colorful, sexy way.
Larry's exactly right. Winky Wright's face shows wear and tear. Williams, none yet. blocked one of his best punches of the fight. He knows it. He's trying to follow up right now.
Let's go.
Right in a guard mode. Williams throws 8 punches in a row.
No, come on. Let's go. Let him out, Winky. Let him go. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Get him out. Let's go. Break. Let him out. Let's go. Work out. The hands are free. Let's go. Get him out. Let's go. Come on, work out. All right, bring it. Let's go.
Emmanuel, people have compared his body to that of Tommy Hearns.
Well, no.
If you had wanted him to, could Tommy have achieved a work rate like this?
No. I was just thinking myself, this is unbelievable to see a man throw punches like this, even if he was a short jabber. If he had a tall guy, really to me, he's like 6'3", if he seemed to be able to throw this many punches. Most tall fighters, they tire. Tommy was a more physical. He was a little bit stronger upper body, and he was a much more devastating puncher.
Bigger hitter, much bigger hitter.
If Tommy was landing punches with the freedom that he's in, this fight would have been over with. But Tommy didn't have that type of stamina, hardly anyone. Ray Leonard was one of the few fighters that I know that had great stamina, but he was built that way, but not to be tall like this.
Winky Wright has landed some very solid right hooks in this round, but they get lost in the shuffle against the constant onslaught of punches from Williams.
You're beautiful. You're working beautiful. You're not letting him in. Deep breath. You're working beautiful, Paul. Okay? Hey.
Yeah.
Give me a rinse on this. Paul, now you got him. Where he have absolutely no legs. He have absolutely no what power he had. He don't even have that. Okay? But now what I want you to...
When he backs up a good, strong jab, left hand, and keep working and ripping that body. That was a good round for you right there.
Right.
Got him with some good stuff.
Yes.
Your eyes is fine. No problem.
Here's Williams.
Even though they're fighting at close range, you still see Williams just pushing too much, forcing his way through Winky.
Is Dan Birmingham Winky's trainer in denial, or is he just trying to pump up Winky Wright?
It's hard to pump up anyone with a guy like this, like Paul Williams. He's punching. He's not really a big puncher, but he throws so many punches. And he has upper body movement, which is amazing. Like twist, pivots, in close, outside, and you never know what angle the punches are coming from.
Now here's what Larry was talking about, incidentally. Birmingham said to Winky, that was a good round for you. You did well. CompuBox numbers, Wright was 9 of 40. Williams was 29 of 93. The 29 is the high number of connects in the fight for Williams, and I think his connects are becoming more solid, Emmanuel. He's finding the target a little bit more clearly in the last round and a half.
Is it important, Emmanuel, to give your fighter some hope?
I think you give him more, but also you need to be honest with it. I always try to be honest with my fighters, even though some of them don't like it. But I would tell them at this stage, I would say this stage here, you're behind Winky. You know, you had a better round. Didn't think you maybe won it, but you got to punch with full power. Now, we're not going to win a decision in this fight. So just conserve your punches and punch with full power when you do punch. Plus, we're losing the fight.
Wright has been in with some excellent jabbers through the course of his career. And already in 8+ rounds, Williams has landed more jabs than anyone ever landed on Wright. And now, here comes a potential rising tide again for Williams.
Winky is hoping that the kid punches himself out, but the kid seems to have an endless supply at his disposal.
That's exactly what his plans was. You can see in the beginning, which is why he won most of his fights. He had great defense. He'd make guys throw out 5 punches to his 1, and then he came on at 10, but it hasn't happened tonight.
The loss to Carlos Quintana came immediately following the huge win over Antonio Margarito. And while Quintana deserves credit for flummoxing Williams with a great fight plan that night, Williams made his point when he knocked Quintana out in 1 round for revenge a few months later. So he doesn't have an unbeaten record, but he did avenge his only loss by first-round KO against a pretty decent fighter.
This is a really good fight. I've been watching Winky Wright fight since his first fight, 1990. I was there. And I've saw him fight in London. I've been over in Paris when he's fought in a lot of cases, and I'm watching. Never saw him fight with this kind of determination, probably since he fought with Jermaine Taylor. He fought a great fight with Shane Mosley, but never with the intensity the way he's trying to fight tonight. This is a rough fight.
This is a better crowd than we anticipated. We don't know how many tickets have been sold, perhaps a few thousand. We know that the police and the fire people here in Las Vegas have gotten a bunch of freebies. And surprisingly, Vegas was pretty crowded this weekend because of the Easter spring break. A lot of families. And we've been told that a number of people used to going to Mexico in the Southwest and the West this week have decided that Vegas is a safer place.
Keep pumping that jab real strong and let that left hand go more. You got to let your hands go more. Move your head on the inside.
We go to round 10. Winky Wright has fought past the 10th round 20 times in his career. Williams only twice. Williams runs out of the corner and tries to nail Wright with a surprise left hand. That doesn't work, so he follows it up with about 15, 20 other punches. Wright trying to seize an opportunity to counter here, but eventually just gets overwhelmed by all the activity and has to hold his guard up.
I cannot believe the volume of punches and the speed that Paul Williams is punching at in such a tremendous fight the way that he's been going all night. It's almost impossible for a tall guy to do that.
Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim, 8 rounds to 1. 89-82, Paul Williams. Jim, I think he's giving him an old-fashioned beating. I got to tell you, Paul Williams constantly landing that right hand. Winky can't hit him because Paul Williams moves his head constantly, and Winky misses him. Winky covering up like that, you know, when he's got his hands high like that, his elbows in tight, he can't punch. Be as it may, based on clean punching and good defense, 8-1, Paul Williams.
You see there, he throws a left hand over the top, then he takes the same hand and brings it up between the gloves. And, you know, especially when you're tired like Winky is now, it's hard to think and to be able to have the coordination to deal with those punches coming from so many different angles.
Well, he's still trying. He knows that everything is at stake here for him.
Winky's fighting, as I said earlier, the very determined fight, and based on his performance in this fight, I never thought of saying I'm anxious to see him fight again.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, it's not, if he don't have a Paul Williams in there, believe me, he's not no slouch. I think at 154, 60 pounds, he's fighting a very good fight. This is just such a weird guy, that is an unusually talented man in Paul Williams.
Even the people in Winky's corner saw this as a crossroads fight. Dan Birmingham reportedly told his fighter, you need to sell out. This is everything to you. Because if you do not win this fight, it's unlikely you're going to see another big marquee with the name Winky Wright on it.
The only question I'm finding about Paul Williams as a middleweight is when he fights a good punching middleweight, will he be able to stay in there and deal with it?
Meaning Arthur Abraham or Kelly Pavlik.
Right. Because volume-wise and speed-wise, he'll have a tremendous advantage over any middleweight you can think of.
Larry, I share the same thoughts with you, too. I feel the same way. Even though he's winning, looking good, There's still a lot of physical things I see with a very strong, powerful, full-fledged middleweight who will come in the ring probably about 178 at the night of the fight. He may have a problem with.
Adlick is a pretty big hitter upstairs. Arthur Abraham is brutal to the body with the left hook. Either would present an imposing challenge.
But until and if he doesn't get hurt, Williams is going to be a problem for any fighter.
We're behind in this fight. We need a stoppage. All right? We need a stoppage. If you're going to block early and let him run out of gas, you got to stay on his ass and hurt this kid. All right, you hear me? You need this. Come on. Come on, man. Come on. Breathe. 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 Get your wind back.
Watch your head, bud.
See, in the past, Winky Wright always has that defense where he block punches from the outside, but in the case fighting with Paul Williams is coming up between those defensive gloves. And throw a punch on the outside to make Winky put his hands out, and then he'll come right between the gloves.
And another look at Paul's family at ringside. He's been buying up real estate across the lake from Aiken in Augusta, Georgia, becoming a master of real estate in Augusta.
No, he's from Augusta originally. I asked him if he ever went to the Masters, which of course is going on this weekend. He said, well, the only thing the Masters meant to him was a lot of traffic and high prices. Couldn't wait for them to get out of town.
Copy box numbers in the 10th round. Wright was 11 of 36. Williams, 23 of 105. So in the 10th round, he released his highest number of punches in the fight. 105 in that round. Again, the energy level is extraordinary. Oh, good right hook by Williams. And increasingly, Winky Wright is taking more punishment than a 37-year-old who's been out of the ring for nearly 2 years wanted to take.
Yeah, this is the wrong last guy in the world he needs to be in the ring with.
Remember earlier at the top of the show, we talked about how the veterans can beat young fighters who come straight to them and enable them to operate, but that speed eventually and work rate tells the difference. Sometimes if you wait for this kid to stop punching, you may have to wait till the 13th round. The fight's over.
I remember one of Joe Calzacchi's opponents, after having been counted out, or actually had the fight stopped by the referee, this particular opponent said, well, I was just waiting for him to stop. These guys don't stop. That's why they're at the level they're at.
But, you know, it's a really unbelievable one-in-a-million gift for any trainer, anybody to get an unusually gifted kid the way this guy is. He's really almost like a freak of nature to be built like that and throw punches all night long.
And that's part of the story.
Very
when you have a small-town South Carolina trainer, how many chances is he going to get to take somebody to the top of the professional boxing world?
Well, you know, Vernon Forrest comes from Augusta as well. Also another tall welterweight who's now a top-ranked junior middleweight.
Last round. Last round, bro. You want to go home, don't you? Okay, let's go in home time, bro. I want you to shine. What round is this? Okay, I want you to shine this round, okay? Paul, don't do nothing stupid. I want you to be alert, okay? But I want you to get back to your stick and work your corners. Now he's desperate. Come on. Touch him up.
Swallow. Come on, Winky. Let it all go right here. Let it all go here with good, smart defense, though. Move your head on the inside. Dip right and let that hook go.
CompuBox numbers entering the final round. Wright has landed 108 punches. Williams has landed 217. Almost exactly twice as many. Paul Williams, when he throws his 20th punch in this round, will have thrown 1,000 punches in the fight. Wright may make it to 500. Unbelievable. Paul Williams got careless and allowed Winky Wright to land a big shot.
But it doesn't matter right now. The momentum is going with him. I mean, it would take one tremendous punch to knock out Paul Williams right now, and Winky Wright is not that type of a puncher to do that. There you go, see again the variety of punches. Left hand over the shoulders and then the same left hand up between the gloves.
Come on, let's go. Come on.
Williams showing he wants to close the show.
Back up. Let's go. Both of you guys. Come in with our head, man. Let's go.
When he was a young fighter, Winky Wright was knocked down 5 times by a South American title holder. This is the worst beating he's taken since that time.
But he's ran across probably one of the most unusual fighters that I've ever saw in my lifetime. That he can throw all of these punches from so many different angles and fight inside, outside, and never gets tired, and has good mental concentration and mental stamina also as the fight goes on. He doesn't tire and lose his concentration.
We have to love him at HBO for wearing RIP on both the front and the back of his trunks.
Meaning Winky Wright.
Yep, that's where our hearts are tonight.
Oh my God. Look at this.
Williams momentarily staggered Winky with a big left hand.
And this is a fight, David, that if you're Winky, you're glad it's not a 15-round fight. Whereas usually the other way around, the tall Winky fight is the one that's worried about tiring. 15 rounds would favor Williams in this fight, even though he's thrown all of the punches.
Chases right into the corner. Closing bell coming. They go to the distance.
And Paul Williams did himself a lot of good tonight.
A spirited effort by Winky Wright, but a landslide for Williams, who, as is so frequently the case, swamps his opponent with his punch output. Harold Letterman gave Winky Wright the 5th round. Now, both Larry and Emmanuel felt as though he might have deserved some credit in the 1st round. It's just hard to find too many rounds that Wright could have won against the offensive output of Williams. The official judges for this bout, Adelaide Bird, originally from Philadelphia, now living out here. She was the one judge in the Hopkins-Calzaghe fight who scored the fight for Bernard. You saw the name of Robert Hoyle, 18 title fights. Had Vladimir Klitschko leading. He often gets to go to Germany for the non-scoring job of watching Vladimir Klitschko knock out an American challenger. And then there's Judge Jerry Roth, the most experienced and best known of the Nevada judges. And Michael Buffer has the scores. Let's get them.
From the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, we go to the scorecards. Jerry Roth and Robert Hoyle, 119 to 109. Adelaide Bird, 120 to 108, all three to the winner by unanimous decision, the Punisher from South Carolina, Paul Williams.
So Adelaide Bird scores it a shutout. Both other judges, Hoyle and Roth, find a round to give to Winky. Right in line with Harold Letterman's 119-109. A relatively easy victory on the scorecards for Paul the Punisher Williams. Final CompuBox numbers on the landslide. Williams easily besting the 1,000-punch mark. He threw 106 punches in the 12th round, his biggest output of the fight. Wright, a creditable effort, just not in the same league physically with what Williams is able to do. Power punches, Williams lands 101 more and throws nearly 400 more. Stunning. Let's go to Larry Merchant with Paul Williams.
Thank you very much, Jim. Congratulations, Paul. So how many more rounds do you think you could have done that?
Well, if you got 5 minutes, I can go with you.
Was this the way you thought it would go, or did something develop in the fight that surprised you?
No, Winky, so he put up a good fight. I take my hat to the man. He's winning the 12 rounds with me, and we wore, so I threw many of the punches and stuff, but, I just overworked him.
It seemed that early in the fight he was looking to take it to you and to hurt you. Did you sense that he was doing something unexpected?
Yeah, I expect for him to come out there and throw big shots, and take the fight to me, because I knew and he knew that he couldn't do defense like he normally do in other fights and stuff. So he came out this fight, he fought. So, so I expected that,
So you're not sorry you beat up an old man, are you?
No, I'm not sorry, because Winky is a two-time undisputed champion. I take my hat out to the man, I like to just thank him for getting the ring, HBO for putting it on for me and everything. What's up, Paul?
What do you think this fight does for you?
Man, it put me up at the top with everybody else, because I proved I got in there with the best, Winky was one of the guys that nobody wanted to fight, and he got in the ring with me, and me and him duked it out for the best, and we proved to everybody.
All right. If I was king, I'd want to see you fight Pavlik or Abraham.
Me too.
Middleweight.
Me too.
Okay, let's make it.
Hey, all you gotta do is get in touch with Al, Dan, and Mr. Peterson, and and whatever they do, they do. Hey, and I'd like for somebody to come out of retirement, other than 168,
Thank you very much, Paul. A great fight.
Hey, Winky, good fight, man. Thank you, man. Good fight.
Winky, you've been in a lot of fights with a lot of guys. Nothing like that, I expect.
Yeah, he was real tall and awkward, long arms. But I think I feel good. It was a 21-month layoff, and my time was a little off, but it was a great fight. Like I said, I come to fight.
Have you ever fought anybody who threw that volume of punches?
Nah, he threw a lot of punches, and they coming from so long of a distance, it's hard to really count it. But we did what we had to do. Like I said, that's been 21 months. I'm coming back. I won't be off that long.
It sounds like you're not convinced that this is your last fight.
Oh, it definitely ain't my last fight. In 21 months, I came back, fought the best, and, I came up short tonight, but we'll come back.
Do you believe he's capable of fighting a Pavlik and Abraham in the middleweight division and beating them?
Yeah, he throw a lot of punches. He's going to be tough for anybody to fight because he throws so many punches. He stay busy, so you got to be ready to counter and come back with some shots. So, yeah, he's capable of doing it.
Thank you very much, Winky.
No
Jim?
All right, Winky Wright's exactly right. The problem is how many punches Paul Williams throws. Now, Williams people are talking about the possibility of going back to welterweight and chasing a fight with Shane Mosley. Emmanuel, I don't think top welterweights are ever going to fight him on a consistent basis because of his height. Based on what we just saw, I vote that he stays in the middleweight division. What do you think?
It's hard for me to see anybody in the welterweight division. At least I wouldn't want to. Even the biggest Tommy Hearns would, I would have to hesitate for a minute. He's a very, very difficult guy. I mean, a junior middleweight, even to think of him. I think his future is going to have to be probably as a middleweight, and maybe at 154. Not that he could make the weight so much, but I just think that nobody's going to fight him because he's just so good, so big, and so busy. And actually, after fighting as long as he's been now for a little while, in the junior middleweight and middleweight, I think it would hurt his body. Even though he would make the welterweight, once your body adjusts to something for a while, it's a little different. Even though you make it, your whole system is adjusted to a different weight, and I think it would be a mistake to go back to welterweight.
Does he need to see more middleweights before he chases Pavlik or Abraham, or should he go for it right now?
Yes, I'd like to see him fight another middleweight or so.
All right. Larry Merchant, your thoughts on Paul Williams' really resounding victory over Winky Wright?
How do you think he'd do against Arreola?
He'd throw 1,000 punches.
Cristobal Arreola, that's what I'm thinking about. I love the name Cristobal for Arreola. It has a championship ring to it. For a long time, I've been in a certain kind of denial, that maxim that as the heavyweights go, so goes boxing. There are times when boxing didn't have an exciting, dynamic heavyweight presence, and so we had Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns and Roberto Duran, and later on we had Oscar De La Hoya and Roy Jones and Shane Mosley and others. But in the present status of boxing, with virtually all of the top heavyweights coming from Europe, and it's hard for smaller fighters to get some kind of purchase with the public, I think it is necessary. And so what I'm thinking about is Cristobal Arreola, and what he does for the rest of this year could be very, very important for boxing.
All right. Arreola with the knockout victory in the first half of tonight's card over Jameel McCline. So thanks very much for being with us. Next on HBO, it's a brand new edition of our Emmy Award-winning 24/7 Manny Pacquiao and Ricky Hatton. Tonight is part one of the four-part series leading up to their May 2 fight. Following 24/7, it's Eastbound and Down. And for you boxing fans, after that, it's the documentary Thrilla in Manila, an in-depth look at the classic third fight between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. And if you missed any part of tonight's show, you can catch it again tomorrow on HBO tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. or on HBO 2 Sunday at 4:30 and Tuesday night at midnight. So now indulge us for a minute. Arthur Curry died earlier this week. He worked for HBO. You haven't heard of him before. If Artie Curry had been an announcer, just an announcer, or just a producer or a director or an executive who buys the fights, it would be pretty easy for us to tell you what he did. But there's a lot more to it than that. Larry?
Yeah, Jim, a good man died young. And throughout the HBO world, beyond sports, from the mailroom, where he started 30 years ago after a real bad start, a tragic start in his life, and became a beloved figure throughout the building, virtually every cubicle and office. A role was created for him to be a liaison, a kind of diplomat between the suits and the fighters. And sometimes it was between the fighters and the tuxes. And the important thing was he did it with such grace, with such a pure spirit, that you just wanted to be around him. He said that it's just being real. And the reality is that we're all somewhere between tears and devastation because a good man died young.
Indeed. So again, you're indulging us here. Emmanuel, your final words on Arthur Curry?
Well, I think it'd be summed up as soon as he died, there's about a half an hour, I got a call from Ronnie Shields, the trainer in Houston, and he was in tears. And I get a call in about another 10 minutes from a guy named Larry Merchant. He's nearly in tears. The fact that this man bridged between boxers and the trainers and the HBO staff, the executives of HBO, and everybody loved him. He was our connection, and we lost a very good person.
Yep, that's the best way to sum it up. To fighters, trainers, and other denizens of this sport all over the world, Arthur Curry was HBO. Good night, Arthur. Good night, all of you.